This is Zak Zevchik reporting on the Cleveland State Podcast, and today I'm talking with Andrea Grecu, who is a health science major at Cleveland State. Today I want to talk about your habits of going to Cleveland State sporting events. Over the years, Cleveland State hasn't had great attendance from their students, so I want to figure out what your habits are, why you might not go, why you do go, and how you think they can improve on that. So first off, how often do you attend Cleveland State sporting events?
Well, I don't really attend them that much. It's mostly about a time issue because I'm either working or at school studying. Since I'm a commuter, there's not really that much time on my hands.
Do you consider yourself much of a sports fan in general?
Somewhat of a sports fan. I do like to attend, Indians games, Browns games, Cavs games, but I haven't really been to much of the CSU games.
What would you say is the main reason that you don't attend many Cleveland State games?
It's probably mostly because I commute so much and I'm always working when I'm not at school, and it's a time issue. Like I mentioned earlier, it's too hard to make time for all your studies and attend games.
Is there anything the school could do to get you to go to more games?
I'd say the one thing that they could improve on is definitely the advertising. It would definitely increase the excitement around the school if they just advertise their sports a little more.
In a city like Cleveland that is revered for having such great sports fans, why do you think that the city's major university that's in the middle of downtown doesn't receive a similar amount of attention from those fans?
Well, pro sports are pretty different than CSU sports, and Cleveland State doesn't really have much of a rich history in sports in Cleveland, so I don't know. It's kind of like people don't really think about going to Cleveland State games as much as they want to go to, a Browns game or Indians game.
Winning is always a factor in sporting events and how much attendance they get, but how much of a factor do you think it plays at Cleveland State with the students?
Oh, if they won a little more and if they had a lot of wins, I feel like more people would definitely want to go. It would be a strong factor in student attendance for sure.
What ways do Cleveland State sporting events appeal to you and not appeal to you?
They appeal to me in a way that they make me more connected to the students at Cleveland State and the team itself. And, you get to socialize more when you're at the games because you see everyone all in one place rather than, saying hi in the halls. And what doesn't appeal to me is that there's pretty much no time to go.
Which sport at Cleveland State do you think garners the most attention, and why do you think this is?
Maybe basketball, because I feel like that's the one that I hear about the most.
Yeah, I would agree. Basketball definitely gets the most attention. Unlike most schools with Division I athletics, Cleveland State doesn't have a football program. Do you think that this has an impact on the overall excitement on all the teams?
I definitely think so because, for example, when you look at Ohio State, you always see a lot of excitement and crazy things on TV about their football games, but you never really see any of that with Cleveland State. You don't have even if it's just a basketball game. And I feel like if we had a football games and a football team, it'd definitely get more attention.
Why do you think student attendance is so low for Cleveland State sporting events?
Probably because it's a commuter school. A lot of people come to Cleveland State after they've attended Tri-C just to finish up their degree. They don't really think about doing sporting events. And plus, we also have a lot of older people who come to Cleveland State, so many of them have kids and other things besides going to sports.
Stuff, yeah.
Although
you may not go to many sporting events, would you say that you have a lot of school spirit and enjoy showing off the fact that you go to Cleveland State?
Yeah, I would like to say that I do. I always go to the Viking Outfitters store and buy a lot of clothing items, whether it's, a hoodie or a t-shirt, and I even buy my family CSU gear, so I like to show it off.
So after having this discussion, do you plan on attending more Cleveland State sporting events in the future?
I would definitely like to, but again, it's that time issue, and with work and school, balancing it all out. If I had more time, I'd definitely like to go.
All right, cool. Well, thank you for talking to me today.
Of course, it was nice to be here.
All right, I'm continuing my conversation about Cleveland State sporting events, this time with Dominic Pashedley, a finance major at Cleveland State. So, Dominic, how often do you attend Cleveland State sporting events?
I attend sporting events here and there. I have a lot going on, so whenever I have time.
Okay. Do you consider yourself much of a sports fan?
Yeah, I do.
What is the main reason that you would say that you don't attend that many games?
Like I said before, I have a lot going on. Work, school, class, homework. So I don't always have the time.
And what ways do you think the school could get you to go to more games than you already do?
Have better records.
So just if the teams were better, you'd go out more often, make more time in your schedule?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So in a city like Cleveland that is revered for having such great sport fans, why do you think the city's major university doesn't receive a similar amount of attention?
Cleveland State's that's not a big school. Ohio State usually gets all the publicity here, so that's the big reason.
In what ways do Cleveland State sporting events appeal to you, and which ways do they not?
I like sports in general, so I don't need to appeal to me to get me to go, because I like sports. They don't not appeal to me. Like, there's not like a sport that says like, oh, you don't want to go, but you know.
Which sport at Cleveland State do you think garners the most attention, and why?
Definitely basketball. They don't really have a football team, so that's the next biggest sport they have.
Yeah. Why do you think student attendance is so low at Cleveland State?
It's just Cleveland State's not that big of a school, so I just think it's not that big of a deal to most students. Okay. It's not. You don't get all the national attention, so that's why.
Unlike most schools with Division I athletics, Cleveland State doesn't have a football program. So do you think this has an impact on the overall excitement around all of the teams?
I do, because I think the most popular college sport is football. You see it on TV all the time. I mean, it's almost as big as just professional sporting, the NFL, so I think that's a big reason.
Do you hear much about the athletic teams when you're on campus, and do you think that the university is successful in marketing the teams and advertising to the students, like the news and the games that are coming up?
I hear about it here and there, not all the time. I heard about the basketball team the most when they were almost gone to the tournament last year. Mm-hmm. So I hear about it, but I do and I don't.
Do you think that if they marketed it more, you would go to more games, or do you think it doesn't matter?
I think it's a little bit of both. It doesn't matter, but I think it would help some other students too.
Do you think there's a sort of culture on campus that doesn't support the teams that much? So, like, everyone on the campus is used to everyone not supporting that much, so it just kind of rubs off onto everyone else. And do you think that could change or shift, and what would make that change happen?
I do. I think a lot of it would just be if more people started to go to the games.
Maybe it became like a student event.
Yeah, like it became more of a thing.
Yeah.
If everybody starts doing it, then everybody's going to,
Yeah, just like
everybody's going to go.
So although you may not go to many sporting events, would you say that you have a lot of school spirit and enjoy showing off the fact that you go to Cleveland State?
Yeah, I take a lot of pride in knowing that I go to Cleveland State. I'm not afraid to let anybody know.
Yeah. So after having this discussion, do you plan on attending more Cleveland State sporting events in the future?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for talking to me.
No problem.